For nearly 2,000 years, it's been standing in the heart of Rome, a perfect, massive dome that by all accounts just shouldn't exist. Today, we're cracking the code of the Pantheon, from its seemingly impossible dome to a case of mistaken identity that's been hiding in plain sight this whole time. Just look at this. This right here is the heart of the Pantheon's genius. It is the largest dome on the entire planet made from unreinforced concrete, a record it has held since it was built in the 2nd century AD. So how in the world did the Romans build something so massive, so perfect, that it's still standing today? Well, that's the big question we're going to dig into.
And the design, it's pure geometric poetry. Get this, the distance from the floor to the very top of the dome is the exact same as its width, 43.3 meters. You could fit a giant, perfect sphere right inside. Now for the Romans, this wasn't just some cool math trick. It was deeply symbolic. It represented the heavens, a perfect universe captured inside their temple.
So let's start with that central marvel, the impossible dome. Its scale is honestly kind of hard to wrap your head around, even when you're standing right underneath it.
Think about this number for a second. The concrete dome weighs 4,535 metric tons. To put that in perspective, that's like balancing 800 elephants over your head. And it's doing this with no internal steel skeleton, no modern rebar holding it together. It is a feat of engineering that modern architects are still trying to fully comprehend.
But believe it or not, the mystery of the dome is matched by another one, and this one is hiding right in plain sight on the front of the building. To figure out who built this marvel, we first have to solve a little case of mistaken identity.
You walk up to the Pantheon today, look up, and this massive inscription seems to tell you the whole story. For centuries, the entire world believed it. But here's the thing, it's a beautifully crafted lie.
The inscription reads, Marcus Agrippa, son of Lucius, made this when consul for the 3rd time. Pretty straightforward, right? Case closed. Marcus Agrippa, a famous Roman general, built the Pantheon. Except he didn't.
Yeah, see, archaeology has proven that the building we all see today is not Agrippa's. His original temple was actually completely destroyed by fire. So if Agrippa didn't build this Pantheon, who did?
And this is where the timeline clears everything up. Agrippa did build the first Pantheon, way back in 27 BC, but it burned down. The absolute masterpiece we have today was built almost a century later by the Emperor Hadrian. And in a really fascinating move, maybe it was humility, maybe it was just smart politics, Hadrian kept the original inscription, giving all the credit to his predecessor.
Okay, so that brings us to the next chapter in its very long life. The Pantheon didn't just survive because it was well built. It survived because its entire purpose radically changed. It made the journey from being a temple for many gods to a church for one god. You know, its very name, Pantheon, is Greek for all the gods. But here's a fun fact. Historians still debate its original purpose. Was it really a temple for the entire Roman lineup of gods? Or was it more of a monument for the ruling dynasty that just got a cool nickname because its magnificent dome looked like the heavens?
The event that saved the Pantheon, the real game changer, happened in the 7th century. The Byzantine emperor at the time literally gifted the building to Pope Boniface IV. It was then officially consecrated as a Christian church, which meant it would be taken care of at a time when other pagan temples were being left to ruin.
And honestly, this conversion is the single biggest reason the Pantheon is still standing. While other ancient temples were being treated like quarries, torn apart for their marble and stone during the Middle Ages, the Pantheon was protected. Its continuous use as a church guaranteed it would be preserved. Okay, let's get back to that incredible dome. How did Hadrian's architects actually pull this off? Well, the answer isn't one single trick. It's a series of brilliant innovations baked right into the Roman concrete itself. So the secret starts with the recipe. The Romans engineered a special concrete that got progressively lighter as the dome rose. Down at the heavy base, they used strong travertine stone. In the middle, they mixed in lighter stuff like crushed terracotta tiles. And for the very top, they used feather-light volcanic stones like pumice, the kind that can actually float on water. It was pure genius. The higher they built, the less it weighed. And then there's the famous oculus, that eye open to the sky. It is so much more than just a window. Structurally, it acts as a giant compression ring. Think of it like the keystone in an arch. It redirects all the forces and stress outwards and down, which keeps the dome from collapsing on itself. By taking out the heavy center, they paradoxically made the entire structure stronger.
And finally, you see these beautiful sunken panels on the ceiling? They're called coffers. And nope, they aren't just for decoration. These were carved out to remove even more concrete, which reduced the dome's total weight by a huge amount without making it any weaker. Every beautiful detail here had a serious engineering purpose.
So, with its identity crisis solved and its engineering secrets revealed, let's take a look at the Pantheon's long shadow, its incredible legacy through centuries of change and inspiration. You know, the building hasn't always looked exactly like this. For over 2 centuries, it actually had these twin bell towers which were added in the 1600s, and people hated them. They were widely nicknamed the Ass's Ears and were finally torn down in the late 1800s, restoring the classic profile we all know and love today. And not all the changes were for the better. In the 17th century, Pope Urban VIII, from the powerful Barberini family, stripped the ancient bronze tiles from the ceiling of the grand entrance. He melted all that Roman metal down to make cannons, which led one Roman to famously crack, "What the barbarians did not do, the Barbarinis did." Since the Renaissance, the Pantheon has taken on a new role, a tomb for some of Italy's most famous figures. It became the final resting place for artistic geniuses like the painter Raphael, and for royalty, like the first 2 kings of a unified Italy.
But its greatest legacy might just be architectural. That iconic design, the columned porch, leading to a massive dome. It became a blueprint for powerful and important buildings all over the world. You can see its DNA in places like the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C., the British Museum, and countless universities and state houses.
So, when you step back, the Pantheon is so much more than just an ancient building. It's a survivor. It's a case of mistaken identity and an engineering miracle that saved itself by completely changing its purpose. It leaves you with just one big question. How can a single building from nearly 2,000 years ago continue to inspire this much awe and mystery? That is the Pantheon's true power.